And he was in a mood at that time. He says, I don't want to do any more violent pictures. I'm tired of it. I've been involved with a lot of them. He says,
At 94 years old, Clint Eastwood is finally opening up about one of Hollywood's most iconic and mysterious friendships, his connection with Gene Hackman. After decades of keeping these memories to himself, Clint's revelations will leave you speechless. What has he been hiding all this time? From untold stories on set to the real reasons behind their distance, prepare for a revelation that could completely change your perception of their relationship. Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman first crossed paths in 1971 during the filming of The Beguiled, a Southern Gothic drama set during the American Civil War. It was their first on-screen collaboration, but the tension between the two actors was evident even before the cameras started rolling. In the film, Eastwood plays John McBurney, a wounded Union soldier taken in by a group of Southern women at a girls' school. Hackman had a minor role as a soldier. Despite sharing only a few scenes, the atmosphere behind the scenes was already marked by noticeable differences. Eastwood and Hackman were both known for their strong personalities and firm opinions on the art of acting. A former TV cowboy, Eastwood was known for his stoic characters, imposing presence, and no-nonsense attitude. He preferred a straightforward, minimalist approach to acting. Hackman, on the other hand, was known for the emotional intensity he brought to his roles. He liked to explore the complex psychology of his characters, giving them depth and nuance. Their different approaches to acting occasionally caused friction. Eastwood, used to doing things his own way, struggled to understand Hackman's thoughtful, layered style. In contrast, Hackman found Eastwood's approach too simplistic and lacking in depth. Despite their rocky start, both men had to fight hard to make it in Hollywood. Eastwood, born in California, moved around frequently with his family during his youth. A passion for music as a teenager eventually led him to explore the world of film. Clint Eastwood only began attracting attention after landing the role of Rowdy Yates in the TV series Rawhide. Playing a tough, reserved cowboy gave him a solid foundation in acting. Hackman, meanwhile, came from a modest background. Born in San Bernardino, California, he grew up in a troubled family. Eastwood's rise to fame came later than Hackman's. Before turning to acting, he worked various odd jobs: office clerk, delivery driver, none of which hinted at his future as a Hollywood icon. Hackman trained at the renowned Pasadena Playhouse and gradually landed small film roles. His big break came with The French Connection, which turned him into an overnight star. Hackman quickly gained recognition for portraying complex, gritty characters, perfectly suited for emotionally demanding roles. Eastwood was a man of few words, preferring to express his thoughts through silence and subtle expressions. His performance in Rawhide proved that an actor didn't need to overdo it to captivate an audience. His iconic roles, such as the steely Dirty Harry, became known for their cold, detached demeanor. That was Eastwood's method: stay calm, let actions speak louder than words, and avoid unnecessary embellishments. Hackman, in contrast, was the opposite. He excelled at creating characters with impressive psychological depth. Every gesture and word carried real emotion. Where Eastwood chose meaningful silence, Hackman poured emotional intensity into his roles, giving them a raw, personal vitality. This contrasting style sometimes made their dynamic complicated on set. During the filming of The Beguiled, these differences became evident. Eastwood focused on simplicity, stuck to the script, and let the visuals tell the story. Hackman, however, wanted to dig deeper into the character's motivations, adding emotional layers to his performance. Their opposing methods created friction, making the collaboration challenging at times. This film represented more than just a cinematic project. It was a clash of two strong personalities and two different approaches to acting. On one side, Eastwood was on his way to becoming one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces. On the other, Hackman was still finding his footing in an unforgiving industry. Their working relationship was often marked by disagreements, revealing an artistic rivalry that was as fascinating as it was complex. Yet, it also marked the beginning of a fascinating and enduring relationship in Hollywood. Though they frequently disagreed, Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman deeply respected each other's talent. Even if they didn't always share the same vision, they couldn't deny each other's ability to bring something unique to their craft. Both were known for their unwavering dedication to their art. Working on The Beguiled gave them the chance not only to refine their acting but also to learn from each other despite the tensions. However, while their rivalry on screen and contrasting styles defined their early collaborations, their careers would soon take very different paths, shaped by their personal ambitions and approach to fame. As they reached stardom, Eastwood and Hackman's careers began to diverge. Eastwood wasn't content with just being an actor. he wanted to have more control over the films he worked on. By the late 1970s, he had moved into directing and producing films. His directorial debut, Play Misty for Me, was quickly followed by the success of Dirty Harry, marking the beginning of his transformation from actor to respected filmmaker. Eastwood continued to expand his influence in the industry, making bold choices and overseeing his own projects. By the 1980s, he was no longer just an iconic actor but a visionary director, delivering films like Gran Torino, The Outlaw Josie Wales, and Unforgiven. These films allowed him to explore more complex characters and deeper themes, showcasing his talent not just in front of the camera but behind it as well. Eastwood continued on this path, directing and producing dozens of films that earned him critical acclaim, even winning Oscars for works such as $1 Million Baby and Unforgiven. He was no longer just the tough cop or the lone cowboy. His name became synonymous with a style of cinema that was both powerful and introspective, capable of capturing the complexity of the human soul. Clint Eastwood had become one of Hollywood's most respected directors, while Gene Hackman remained focused on his acting career. As Eastwood expanded into directing, Hackman continued to land major roles in films like Absolute Power, which brought him further nominations and recognition. He had the rare ability to embody a wide range of characters, from the tough and cynical officer to the emotional coach. Hackman was at home in front of the camera, savoring each role he played. Eastwood and Hackman handled fame very differently as their careers skyrocketed. Eastwood, always reserved, preferred to keep his personal life out of the public eye and avoided Hollywood's spotlight. This discretion was likely one of the reasons he managed to maintain such a long and stable career. Uninterested in the trappings of celebrity, he preferred quiet settings, focusing on his family and letting his work speak for itself. Hackman, on the other hand, wasn't afraid to appear in public, but he also avoided falling into the pitfalls of fame. Unlike Eastwood, he was known for being more expressive and dynamic while maintaining a sense of modesty. Hackman appreciated the recognition and the perks that came with it, but he chose his roles based on their artistic merit rather than the size of the paycheck. He remained grounded in his craft, prioritizing quality over quantity. While Eastwood drew attention for his films and directorial work, Hackman earned respect for his ability to portray complex and multidimensional characters. Hackman had an outsider's edge compared to Eastwood's movie star aura. Although they managed fame differently, both built long and highly successful careers. However, despite their individual success, working together wasn't always easy. Even though they respected each other as actors, their professional relationship was sometimes strained by personality differences. These contrasts, while they enriched their on-screen chemistry, also created challenges behind the scenes. Unforgiven is perhaps the most famous collaboration between Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman. However, behind the scenes, there were moments that revealed the real complexity of their relationship. Unforgiven was a major project that brought Eastwood back behind the camera as a director. Already a respected actor and filmmaker, Eastwood decided to take on a Western, but with a radically different approach. It wasn't just a cowboy movie, it was a dark, gritty, and realistic take on the Wild West. Eastwood played William Money, a former outlaw-turned-farmer who is forced to pick up his guns again for a dangerous mission. Hackman portrayed the corrupt sheriff Little Bill Daggett, a character who balanced authority with cruelty. Naturally, this film was filled with intense and meaningful performances. Eastwood and Hackman's characters were on opposite sides of the law, creating a charged dynamic on screen. Their characters were tough, ruthless, and deeply flawed. Watching them perform together felt like witnessing the collision of two forces of nature. However, off-camera, things were more complicated. Even though they approached their work differently, Eastwood and Hackman were both known for their strong wills and immense dedication to their craft. Eastwood, a seasoned professional, spoke little. He preferred a straightforward approach and disliked overanalyzing his performances, believing that actions and emotions were enough to deliver the message. Hackman, by contrast, was more methodical and detail-oriented. He liked to dig deep into his characters, understanding their past and motivations, especially when he disagreed with a part of the script or the direction. This analytical approach sometimes clashed with Eastwood's pragmatic and stripped-down style. Hackman was also more vocal and expressive, which sometimes caused tension on set. Eastwood was known for his calm, reserved demeanor, while Hackman wasn't shy about sharing his thoughts. This led to a few conflicts during the filming of Unforgiven. Hackman later admitted that he didn't always agree with Eastwood on how to approach certain scenes, particularly when it came to their characters' motivations. Eastwood aimed to maintain a natural, grounded style, while Hackman liked to push boundaries and explore his character's emotional depth. Despite their differing working styles, Eastwood and Hackman had deep professional respect for one another. Both had reached the peak of their careers in Hollywood and knew what it took to succeed in the demanding film industry. Eastwood was already an iconic action star and a respected director, while Hackman had won Oscars for his captivating performances. Both were at their best in Unforgiven. Yet their contrasting personalities created an undercurrent of tension, even though they admired each other's talent. At times, Eastwood found Hackman's passionate and intense interpretations to be over the top, while Hackman often wanted to explore every detail of a scene and push things further. Eastwood, used to maintaining strict control over his directorial vision, sometimes struggled to accept deviations from his initial direction, which led to friction. One incident from the set of Unforgiven illustrates the complexity of their relationship. During a particularly dramatic scene, Hackman was required to deliver a line in a very specific way. True to his style, he sought to add more depth to the moment, which slightly altered the tone of the scene. Hackman began improvising, adjusting the delivery and emotional weight of the line. A perfectionist at heart, Eastwood considered this change unacceptable and immediately cut the scene. In a calm but firm manner, he instructed Hackman to deliver the line exactly as written. Hackman, used to greater creative flexibility, found this difficult to accept. The conflict wasn't just about artistic choices but also about their differing views on the craft of acting. Eastwood had always been a believer in hard work, discipline, and a consistent method on and off set. He was a conservative thinker who valued simplicity and directness. Hackman, in contrast, was more open to new ideas and changes, a quality that often showed in his acting style. He had a more liberal approach, enjoying the challenge of exploring life's complexities. Their age difference also added an extra layer of tension. Eastwood was in his early 60s, while Hackman was approaching his late 50s during the filming of Unforgiven. While the age gap wasn't large, their different professional experiences contributed to the friction. Ultimately, Unforgiven became a milestone in both of their careers. Eastwood's stripped-down, naturalistic style blended surprisingly well with Hackman's emotionally charged and layered approach. Their contrasting energies on screen created an intense, memorable dynamic. The film earned Eastwood the Oscar for Best Director and Best Picture, while Hackman won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Despite their differences, Unforgiven proved that their opposing styles could produce cinematic greatness. Their partnership was built on mutual respect, even if it was sometimes marked by creative clashes. While Eastwood went on to focus more on directing, Hackman continued acting for several more years before retiring. Their collaboration on Unforgiven remains one of the most significant and powerful pairings in Hollywood history, a testament to how two very different artistic visions can create something truly extraordinary. Eastwood already had decades of experience behind him and had established himself as a director. Hackman, on the other hand, was still focused on perfecting his acting technique. They were at different stages of their careers, which influenced how they interacted on set. Eastwood held the reins, while Hackman had always sought to push boundaries and take calculated risks. This difference in perspective regarding their place in the industry created a tense dynamic. At times, Eastwood's calm and reserved style clashed with Hackman's emotional intensity, testing the professional respect they had for each other. With two powerful actors unwilling to back down, tension between them was inevitable. But would it push them to greater heights or drive them further apart? The years of silence and growing distance after decades of collaboration and distinct paths in Hollywood reflect the complexity of their relationship. Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman took very different paths in the later years of their careers. Their once close collaborations seemed to fade into a quiet distance, with no public recognition of each other for many years. This period marked a cooling of their relationship and, in Hackman's case, a complete withdrawal from the public eye. However, the reasons behind this silence and separation were more complex, shaped by personal and professional changes that each actor experienced in their own way. Gene Hackman's decision to leave Hollywood surprised many fans. After decades of cinematic success, including iconic films like French Connection, The Conversation, and Unforgiven, Hackman chose to step away from the industry. In the early 2000s, when he was well into his 60s, Hackman decided to walk away from fame and the pressure that came with it, not from his craft itself. He didn't make a grand farewell or a dramatic announcement to mark his departure. He simply stepped back quietly, focusing on his personal life away from the spotlight. Many admirers wondered what had become of this once passionate and revered actor. Some speculated that Hackman had simply grown tired of the industry, aware that fame often demands sacrificing a large part of one's private life. Others believed he was dissatisfied with the roles offered to aging actors. Whatever the reason, Hackman left Hollywood in an enigmatic way, creating a void in the industry. Hollywood seemed to lose one of its most fascinating and unpredictable stars. As Hackman disappeared from public view, Clint Eastwood's career continued to soar. While Hackman quietly stepped away, Eastwood pushed forward with his work as an actor, producer, director, and writer. He became one of the most respected figures in Hollywood. Fully embracing his role as a filmmaker, Eastwood took on increasingly ambitious projects such as $1 Million Baby, Gran Torino, and American Sniper. Unlike Hackman, who had exited the industry, Eastwood was recognized not only for his tough guy roles but also for his skill behind the camera. His films continued to earn critical acclaim long after Hackman's quiet departure, cementing Eastwood's status as a Hollywood powerhouse. It's possible that Eastwood felt the loss of his former colleague, even while enjoying continued success. Hackman's departure served as a stark reminder of how quickly Hollywood can move on, even from someone as talented as him. While Eastwood's career thrived, his reflections in interviews suggested that the years of silence between him and Hackman were not always easy to accept. Their relationship seemed to have cooled during this period. For years, the two actors were not seen together at public events, signaling not so much a rivalry or major conflict as a natural divergence in their lives. Once at odds on set, their egos now seemed to grow further apart. Eastwood focused on directing, while Hackman disappeared from the public eye. It wasn't a public feud or a dramatic falling out that separated them, but rather the natural progression of their respective paths. Eastwood was often asked about his past projects, particularly those with Hackman, but he rarely offered deep insights. The years passed, and both actors seemed content to leave the past behind. However, the absence of public acknowledgement fueled questions about their relationship. Were they still friends, or had the gap created by time and professional differences remained unresolved? The truth remained a mystery as both actors focused on their own careers, leaving fans to wonder what had really happened between them. The major turning point came when Clint Eastwood entered the later stages of his career and began to reflect more on his past, including his relationships with other actors. In interviews, Eastwood started to open up about Hackman and their time working together. He admitted that, despite their differing personalities, he had always respected Hackman's talent as an actor. Their relationship, while often tense, was marked by a deep, unspoken understanding of each other's work. Eastwood took care to point out that Hackman's approach to acting was different from his own, but that didn't make it any less valuable. He also acknowledged that their collaboration on Unforgiven was one of the highlights of his career. Even though their working relationship had its challenges, the magic they created on screen was undeniable. Eastwood explained how Hackman had given his character of the villain, Little Bill, an added layer of depth. He realized that Hackman's dedication to his character had elevated the film and made his performance more complex and nuanced. Looking back on that period, Eastwood seemed to understand that Hackman had been a crucial part of some of the most defining moments of his career, not just a co-star, but a key creative force. Eastwood also expressed some regrets. After they stopped working together, he admitted that he should have made more of an effort to stay in touch with Hackman. The years of silence between them made Eastwood realize that, despite their professional respect, they had never really spent time together as friends. He expressed some frustration over how their lives had diverged and wondered if things would have been different had they worked harder to maintain their connection. Eastwood also reflected on his own legacy when discussing Hackman's departure from Hollywood. The fact that Hackman had chosen to step away from the spotlight served as a stark reminder that, no matter how successful you are, fame and accolades are never guaranteed to last forever. Eastwood's enduring career was proof of his ability to adapt and reinvent himself, but Hackman's retirement was a sobering reminder that no one's career lasts forever. While it left a void in Hollywood, Eastwood seemed to respect Hackman's choice to leave on his own terms. Hollywood felt the loss of Gene Hackman, not only because of his acting talent but also because of his distinctive approach to roles, which made his absence even more regrettable. Even when playing morally complex or outright villainous characters, Hackman had a way of making them feel authentic. He never shied away from demanding roles, and his depth and realism made him one of the most respected actors of his generation. Hackman's absence only highlighted the uniqueness of Eastwood's performances, even as his career continued to thrive. While many miss seeing him on screen, Hackman's retirement seemed to reflect his desire to live a life away from Hollywood's spotlight. It was admirable that he chose to step away while still at the top of his game. As Clint Eastwood opens up about his old friend and co-star Gene Hackman, it becomes clear that their bond was something truly special. For more incredible stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates.